a chance. Telling me to dance, taking a chance. Telling me to dance, taking a chance.
Start your day the joyful way. It's your weekday morning talk show inviting you to start your day with a triple shot of good vibes. And now here's your host, the queen of joy herself, Jessica Dugas. Good Thursday morning, everyone. Today is Thursday, May the 5th, 2022. It is Cinco de Mayo, and we might have to learn a little bit about what that actually means, because I think the majority of people here in the United States think it's a day to eat tacos and drink Corona and margaritas and all that stuff, but we might get into that in just a minute. But I am very excited that our For Love poem coming up later on in the show that we've been listening to different versions of the For Love poem by Dorothy Auger, and our version today is in Spanish by my friend Susanna, who is actually our guest on the Breakthrough Show tomorrow, and she is in Mexico. She's an incredible educator there in Morelia, and she's fantastic. So we're really excited to hear about that. We have another amazing series starting today. Really excited to have Kenneth Lord here today. We're going to talk a little bit to him about mastering. We'll talk about that, your inner self, and really excited to have him on the show. Did you guys enjoy Scott Mason yesterday? It was fantastic. And then Laura the day before, and Schiffer on Monday. What a powerhouse week. So really excited to round that out with Kenneth Lord today. And then also we have our Fun Friday tomorrow, and really excited about that. Reminder, it is unofficially Black and Yellow Day in memory of my brother Adam tomorrow. Tomorrow would have been his 37th birthday. Every year we do random acts of kindness in memory of him, and so I invite you to participate with us. You didn't have to know him. You don't even have to really know me, but it's about doing kind things for other people, because he was all about that. And so, that's coming up tomorrow. And send the good vibes, because I don't know how the hell this show is going to go tomorrow with being out on the town and all of that. We shall see. Just send the good vibes, because it could be a complete disaster, and then we'll laugh about it together come Monday. And when Schiffer's back on, we'll ask ourselves, did it even matter? So anyway, let me know if you guys are joining us live or on the replay. I'd love for you to head over to the comment section, say good morning, say hello, let us know what's bringing you joy today, and tell us where you're joining from. Also, you're welcome to head over to projectjoypodcast.com and click the join live button to join us live on air at the end of next segment. If you have any questions for our guest, Kenneth, today as well. What's bringing me joy today? I did tune in to more of Emily D. Baker's broadcast yesterday for the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial. Amber Heard took the stand yesterday, and it just continues to be interesting to me, the back end of the court stuff, what certain things mean, because we hear things like objection this and objection that. What do these things mean? I'm fascinated by all the court talk, so interesting anyway to me. The behind the scenes stuff of what's going on. And of course, as I mentioned yesterday, attorney Emily D. Baker does an amazing job at staying unbiased and just telling the facts and explaining what's going on. Fascinated by it. Thank you for all the hysterical comments about my photo that I shared yesterday from back in middle school days, of when I literally said in that article, I want to be a lawyer or a singer when I grow up, and yet here I am hosting a talk show. I don't know what happens in this life. Let's check over to the comments and see who's joining us this morning. Juju Divine Empress is here today. Good to see you, Juju. Happy Thursday. To Miss Brittany is here. Scott Schwartz is here. Good morning, Scott. It is good to see you today. Miss Judith is still joining us from Florida. Joy is watching 2 sandhill cranes. I love watching cranes. They're so beautiful and graceful. And I know you don't, how much long, I ask you this every time, and every time I forget, but how much longer are you in Florida? And ironic today that I'm drinking from my Yates cider mill mug. Have you been to Yates, Judith? Because I know that's not far from where you are in Michigan. And I'm so sad that we didn't know each other when I was up there last, but a hug is going to happen. We've talked about this before eventually. So it's good to see you guys here this morning. Let's talk about national days. Let me know if there is anything that you are celebrating today. We always like to know if there's something in particular that you like to celebrate. It is National Day of Prayer. National Day of Prayer. Let me know if you enjoy praying, if that is part of your daily routine. And I think today reminds us to have that quiet time and pray. It is also apparently World Password Day. I have no idea what this means. Maybe pay attention. Stop losing your password, boys and girls. I am a huge fan of LastPass. LastPass is amazing. Then I don't have to store it all in the brain. It is also, I don't know if I can get on board with this, you guys, but it is also National Hoagie Day. Now, where I grew up in Groton, Connecticut, we called these sandwiches grinders. And apparently, if you go throughout history, the word grinder, we're talking about a large sandwich here, okay? For anybody that's like, what do you mean? A large sandwich, long cut in the middle, you fill it with all the meats and cheeses and veggies and all that stuff. We called them grinders, and apparently this went back to what they used to, the big sandwiches they used to eat in behind the scenes of General Dynamics, which makes the submarines in Groton, Connecticut. Well, you can go look all of that up. But so I always called them grinders. I was not aware that they were called things other places. So when I left, well, first of all, we had Subway come around. And I was like, Subway, what is this sub nonsense? But we still called them grinders. When I left Connecticut, my bubbles shattered, and people call them hoagies, po' boys, subs, all of these different things. And I'm like, they're grinders. I don't know what you're talking about. So it burst my whole bubble that people call them different things. And so here we are. Let me know what you call the long sandwiches that you fill. Let me know what you call them. And if you will be celebrating National Hoagie Day today. Um, okay, so it is also, as I mentioned, Cinco de Mayo. It is held yearly on the 5th of May. We're brushing up on our Spanish skills here this morning. 5th of May, and it commemorates the anniversary of Mexico's victory over the French Empire at the Battle of Puebla in 1862. So that's what it's really about. It is not about the tacos. It is not about the Corona or the margaritas. That's what it is about. But I totally forgot that this funny story. Totally forgot that this was coming up this week, even though I'm well aware with all my show planning. And I went into the store and like all the tortilla chips were on sale and all of the beans and the cheeses and all of these things. And I'm like, well, this is great. I guess we're having tacos this week. I have no idea what is going on. And it's because it was Cinco de Mayo. I thought it was just happened to work out that we wanted tacos and the stuff was on sale. But no, there is actually, that's what people love to have today. So Judith said, yes, I love Yates Cider Mill. See, I thought you had been there before, Judith, but I had to check. So listen, let me know if there's anything in particular you guys are celebrating today. I am very excited because we're going to have our next guest coming up here in just a few moments. And also, we have to talk about what's coming up on the Breakthrough Show later on today with Karen's show and all of that good stuff. So we're going to take a quick break and we're going to be right back after this to introduce our guest. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back.
Breakthroughs are about more than you might think. They're about discovering who you are, digging deep, reaching to the core of your soul. They're about healing yourself, understanding your beliefs, creating a ripple effect. And it's not just those initial moments that matter. It's about using them to bring more joy into our own lives and the lives of others. It's about having fun, letting loose, enjoying every moment life has to offer. It's about finding a safe space. It's about creating connection. Join us each and every day for exclusive programming, special events, and a community to call home, where we invite you to explore, change the way you look at and live your life, and go beyond the breakthrough. So we ask you, are you ready? We'll see you online at thebreakthroughshow.com.
Welcome back to Project Joy Live. Today is Wednesday, May the 5th, Cinco de Mayo. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and I'm super excited that you're here with us for Project Joy Live this morning. In one of the Discord servers that I'm in this morning, the question of the day was, what would be some of the most annoying things about having yourself as a roommate? And I responded with turning everything into a damn musical, because that's what I do. Everything is a song. Everything is a moment to sing, and it's a good time. And then somebody else said, for some people, that sounds fun. Other people, I am highly annoying. So I could see how that could be a thing. So at any rate, I also promised really quickly before we get to our guest today, Jason came in and made us aware that it is Williams Syndrome Awareness Month. I had to look this up and see what it was about, but it is also known as Williams-Buren syndrome, and it is a rare genetic condition that affects 1 in 20,000 people. And it is named after the cardiologist who first diagnosed the condition, and it is a chromosomal condition, but it differs from other conditions such as Down syndrome or something like that. And it occurs when there is an issue on chromosome 7. And so I for anybody that has that as a challenge, or anybody that deals with that with someone in their life, we send you all the good vibes this month. And make yourself aware. You can go to, what's the website I found? stevensplace.org to learn more about Williams Syndrome Awareness Month. So thank you, Jason, for bringing that to our attention. All right, you guys. So for over 20 years, our special guest today has been helping people take their lives to a whole new level. Here to help us bring clarity to self-mastery and leadership, please welcome Kenneth Lord to the show. Good morning, Kenneth.
Good morning, Jessica. How are you?
I am good. It is, and it's early as hell where you are.
Yes, it's all great.
Yes, Kenneth is joining us from the West Coast today.
Yes.
And I told him he gets credit right out the gate, doesn't even have to say a word, because he is the first one from the West Coast who's been like, absolutely, I will get up and join you at 5 a.m.
Right. So true. So true. Well, I love your mission. I love the whole Project Joy. I love the breakthrough, model that you've created, and you're just such a bubble of joy. It's just amazing to be here on your show, and also just to share time with you. So
thank you. I appreciate that. And the great thing is this is the third season of this show, and obviously one of the things we talk about often on here is that we're not always just handed a joy on a silver platter. That's not how that works. We go through challenges, and so it's been I feel it's been an honor and a privilege for me to be able to come on here at some of those lower moments in my life and say, look, you it's still your choice at the end of the day to find, or any given moment, to find the joy in the things that we go through. So today happens to be a bubbly day, and here we are. It's to help you wake up, Kenneth.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I have a lot going on today.
Yeah, I love it. Well, we're going to be talking about self-mastery. We're going to be talking about a lot of different things that are mastering your inner game. The next 3 weeks, we're going to be talking about leadership, relationships, sales, and not just sales for people that are in business. He has assured me, these are things that everybody can use and take home and implement in their lives. But let's talk about, we're going to do a little overview today of what it means to master your inner game. But I want to give everybody an opportunity this week, as I've shared the last couple of days, since the audience is new to you. Obviously, I gave a little intro to who you are, but what else would you like everybody to know about Kenneth?
I love road trips.
With the music, is everything a musical to you too, Kenneth?
Yeah, actually, one of the interesting things that I find that I'm the type of person who ponders daily between 3 and 6 hours every day. And what happens for me is, and what's of interest to me is to inquire within and to receive an answer internally about every situation in order to find either the shortest route to achieve whatever goal or impact that I'm wanting to create with myself and or with my clients in the shortest amount of time. And so oftentimes I'm looking at these situations in that context, and going on road trips or pondering regularly allows me to identify and create those things or come to those conclusions, so that it doesn't take that long to achieve those results. One of the pieces that we'll be talking about today is every decision sets up your next decision. And so that decision changes the trajectory of your life. And so, it's important, in my opinion, to understand what every single decision I'm going to make is about, and how that's going to impact my life.
I love that. And I mean, I also enjoy just sitting and thinking about things. And I am one that I will think about it from every angle you could possibly think about, right in the rabbit hole of all
Mhm.
of it, which is why I'm really enjoying our series this month, because it
Yeah.
gives us a different perspective, something to think about. And so I love that you honor that in yourself as well, because a lot of people, I think, have portrayed that as wasting time, or you should be acting all the time or doing all the time. And I think that time to think is important and just ponder things.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so essential because we're all example setters.
Mm,
And to realize that, every decision that we make in every circumstance actually is going to impact or affect or influence other people
mm,
in every single situation or scenario. And these are the types of things where when we realize it, not just say to ourselves, oh yeah, I get that, but realize it, which is a completely different thing. It allows for us to live a more fulfilled and happy life because we're clear
mm.
about who we are and how we're positively impacting others.
Right, right. Well, let's talk about when you and I sat down to chat initially, and we were talking about the concept of self mastery and mastering, and the difference between those two words, and also um, thoughts that we might have in our head when we hear that word mastery or mastering. And I always took that, and I shared with you this when we talked initially, as mastery means like you've arrived at a place, you're done, you don't have to work on it anymore, you're good to go. And I think that this is something that a lot of people think. We hear this word mastery and we take it as, oh, there's something to strive to. And then once I get there, I'm good and I don't have to worry about it ever again, right?
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, the this all kind of came to me by when I was really pondering this whole concept of all the different teachings and trainings that have been developed over the last few decades.
Mm,
And it's really about mastering the inner game, which is a constant, which we're always every moment, we're essentially being cognizant and conscious every single moment of our lives. And when we do that, when we choose to do that, we're mastering one aspect, or maybe we're mastering at that particular moment, and then there's another level to it, in different times in our lives. So when you're 10 years old, we see things in certain ways. When we're 20 years old, we see something in a different way, the same thing in a different way, just because of the context and because we're always evolving, we're always growing, just like cells do in our bodies. So
mm,
mastering, this is where the whole concept of mastering the inner game came into place versus the word mastery,
mm,
right? Because and I understand that people kind of perceive, mastery in the context of other speakers, other leaders, and I feel like what needs to be considered is that we're always on this journey of mastering who we are, and everything internally is in direct proportion to everything externally. So our how we talk with ourselves is in direct proportion of how we talk with others. How we treat ourselves is in direct proportion to how we treat others. And you could look at many different parts of society and ancient wisdom to just see that. It's when we realize it that we really get it. And one of the interesting things recently, or I should say maybe a few months ago, several months ago, there was a specific topic that I had been considering and pondering and really just kind of getting perspective of. But there was a moment in which it was almost as though my entire being realized it. And then I said, oh, now I get it. I completely get it now. And that is realizing it. It's completely different than just saying, yes, I get the concept and so forth.
right, right. It's so true. And even once we get something and we understand what's going on, and I think the Jacksons were talking about this on Divine DNA last night as well, which, you guys, if you didn't see that, it was an amazing show last night with the Jacksons. And when you have an awareness of something, and even if it comes up 10 years down the road, that awareness may have shifted, like your experience has changed, the things that you've learned have hopefully added up or changed in some kind of way. And so you're coming at it from a completely different perspective than you did before, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
that happens all the time with all of us. Just by the nature of us learning different things, different experiences and so forth. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm glad that we are now settled, that it is not an arrival. It's a continued choice. I mean, and it's everything we're talking about in these different series this month, and everything that we're really focused on the Breakthrough Show Network as a whole is about this concept of choice, and we have the decision to make to work at things every day. But my question for you this morning is why work on yourself? I mean, we know that we're learning and growing naturally, but why put the effort behind it to maybe go faster or go at different levels? Or what's your take on that?
Yeah. So I just want to say that we're not broken.
Hmm.
That's very important to know. We're not broken. There's nothing wrong with us. Okay? A lot of times people are constantly working on themselves, and what is happening is they're being distracted by what's going on in front of them. And so it's important to know that we're not broken. There's nothing wrong with us. We simply need to, oftentimes what the impact of our lives is about is being aware of. And by being aware of, and then being conscious and doing a kind of a shape shifting, so to speak, or what's the word I'm looking for? Essentially what you're doing is you're catching yourself in order to make those changes. So if you see yourself have habits, for instance, so let's just say you're doing something that you want to change just for the nature of it's a habit or some sort of pattern. What you're doing is you're being so conscious about it, and your intention is so strong that you're intentionally changing that about yourself or changing that pattern or habit. But it's not as though you're working on yourself to change, like there's something wrong with you. Maybe that was something that happened when you were younger, or some impact that occurred to you from the standpoint of maybe there was a trauma when you were younger. Maybe there was a circumstance that influenced you, for instance, or a person that influenced you. One of the important things is that we influence each other every single day. And that influence, based upon the influence that we give to the other person, that is the impact that person is going to have in our lives. So, for example, and everything is based upon the influence that we give to the other person. So, for example, if I'm giving you a certain level of influence, and that's with you or over you, or you over me, for instance, or with me, that level of influence is going to impact my life. An example would be, let's just say that you have a mentor or someone like a school teacher, for instance. Well, the student is giving that teacher a certain level of influence with them or over them. In the olden days, it used to be over them, dictators and so forth. The newer times, we're really focusing on with somebody. We're really, it's more of a collaboration and so forth. The important piece of it is to realize is that our influence with each other and with those other individuals, we need to realize that there's an impact that we're having or making in their lives, which is shaping essentially their lives. And so holistically, there's a whole picture around understanding, being more aligned with who we are, aligned with our true purpose in life, being more conscious and cognizant of how we treat ourselves and therefore treat others, how we communicate with others, and the impact that we're having in their lives, whether it be positive or negative. It's going to happen either way. It's all going to be based upon who we are and how we hold their heart in who we are.
Right.
Because the impact is going to be so great, so enormous in them. I mean, if you yell at somebody, that whether you realize it or not, you've impacted that person's life.
Right.
And most of the time we don't realize how we're affecting somebody else. But the more that we're willing to realize that every single moment, the more that we're going to be conscious of what we're saying, how we're saying it, why we're saying it, where the other person's coming from. I know it sounds like a lot, but as you are mastering the inner game, these things become more natural for you. and you just become more aware and conscious of every word. Because remember, every word that we speak is either constructive or destructive. We choose that. And the piece that to know is that whatever comes out of your mouth impacts you first before it impacts anybody else's life. And so, we're essentially treating ourselves in the way that we best want to treat others.
Right. Right. I have so many notes already here that I've written down, which you guys, this entire week, I think I filled up a whole notebook. I love going back to what you said initially. We are not broken.
Yeah.
I think that is so important because as we're talking about personal development, I think many of us find ourselves triggered when someone says we should work on XYZ, whatever it is, and we go, oh, not me. I don't need to work on that. Don't be ridiculous. And we find ourselves triggered about those things. And even we were talking about this Tuesday with Laura Mazzata. When we realize that Laura and I have both been on very similar health journeys with physical wellness. And when we realized the things that we were doing that were negatively affecting our health, we're like, why would we do this on purpose? You've got to be kidding me. But then it was such an empowering experience to go, okay, I'm not broken. Like you said, I'm not broken, but imagine if I am powerful enough to create these issues, I am powerful enough to change them and to do things differently.
Absolutely. And nobody can determine that. It's ourselves. And this is why it's so important to realize, and I use that word specifically because, as you just mentioned, maybe in that moment, there was a realization, right? Rather than being the victim or being somebody who says it's happening to me or something's wrong, you could basically, once you realize it, you say, wow, you become empowered. And now you're beginning to master that aspect of yourself or that part of you from the inner game. Again, we're always evolving. So it's just this evolving construct of us becoming who we are in the world in every single moment of our lives. We come across, and most people, here's another idea for you, is that we're always pulling off of each other. And this is something a lot of people may not know, is that energetically we're pulling off of people just naturally. And so as we pull off of other people, we're actually, this is something really unique, in my opinion, is that we're absorbing this energy that we're pulling off of someone else. And so what happens is that, let's just use the term negative energy. We're basically pulling off of somebody where our light becomes stronger because we're overriding it. And so let's just say, for example, you walk into a room, all of a sudden you have a headache. Well, you didn't have the headache before. Why do you have a headache right now? Right. And so it's partly because you just pulled something off of someone else. And in order to override that, you're literally absorbing that energy. And that allows for us to become stronger internally. And the more that we're aware that these things are actually occurring in our daily lives, the more we're able to master this inner game and realize who we are. And oftentimes it's not necessarily us that are thinking those thoughts. It's not necessarily, that we feel a certain way. It's just that we're in a room, and because we're 99.99% space, energy space, that's science. Essentially what's going on is we're sensing, feeling, there's so much going on around us. And therefore it may be somebody else that we're feeling something about because we're empathic, or maybe because, we intuitively receive some sort of thought or something, which is actually not ours. And so oftentimes people perceive that it's them, it's actually not them. So by mastering the inner game, by holding your place in your true power, what you're doing is you're absorbing that energy and allowing you to become stronger during those circumstances, so that as you walk in your daily life, those things don't influence you or affect you in the way that they did maybe before.
So good. So good. Let me know if you guys are watching live or on the replay, what you have taken from our conversation so far this morning about mastering your inner game. And also let us know if you have any questions for Kenneth. This reminds me, so the awareness factor reminds me so much of a few years ago, Gabby Bernstein came out with a book called Judgment Detox. And there were a lot of people that did not want to do our book club on Judgment Detox because there's like, we don't judge people. And I'm like, yes, you do. Yes, you do. But there was also some of us coming into this feeling the weight of how could we possibly stop judging altogether? Because that's what keeps us safe. It determines a lot of things that we do in our lives. And when we got into the book, we realized it wasn't about not judging at all. It was simply about that awareness piece of going, hey, I'm being really judgmental right now. Or is this judgment serving me? Is it keeping me safe? Is it helping me at all? Or do we need to flip the switch and say, okay, we don't need to focus on this judgment? So it wasn't about erasing the judgment. It was simply an awareness of the judgment and then going, okay, do I want to shift it or do I want to stay in this place that I'm in? So that awareness point that you're talking about, I think is huge as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really important to know that, other people can't really affect you if you don't allow them to. Remember the conversation about influence. You don't really have to give somebody influence over you or even with you because you're the center. You're the center. So the energy doesn't have to affect you. You don't have to be triggered. You don't have to get angry. You don't have to say certain things. It's not really up to anybody else except for you, especially when you're mastering the inner game. The more that you're more conscious and more cognizant of every word, everything, that even the triggers themselves, let's just say you get triggered in one moment and all of a sudden this nasty word comes out of your mouth. Okay. If your intention is for you to override and overcome these triggers, then you're going to, because your intention's so strong, that first trigger may come out. Okay. But then maybe the next time it happens, you catch it, but it still might come out, but you catch it and now you're more conscious of it. And the third time, now just as it's about to come out, you catch it and stop it internally because it's actually coming from within you outside, right? And then the fourth or fifth time, now all of a sudden you're catching it before it occurs or before it actually comes bubbling up. And now after the sixth time or seventh time, it's no longer a trigger because you're the one who actually changed the trigger from triggering. And remember that emotions, the idea is to separate the emotions from the experience. So some people say, well, how can I get rid of the emotion associated with an event that occurred in my life? Well, what you want to do is you want to separate the emotions from the actual memory. When you separate the emotions from the memory, it becomes just a memory and not triggered by the emotions themselves.
Right.
And partly how we do that is we do what I just mentioned, which is begin to catch these things that are bubbling up, that come up, and have such a strong intention that they no longer become an emotional factor in the memory that you have.
And I think if I'm hearing you correctly, because I've talked about this before with emotions, I don't think the goal is necessarily to get rid of emotion, because that's what makes us human. I feel like is that the emotions that we have and process, but it's more of the awareness of the emotion and what happens as a result of that emotion. And you can give me your perspective on this as well. So if I am feeling sad, for example, I shared that my brother's birthday would have been tomorrow. He died 12 years ago. I process that every year this week. I process it when it comes up, and it's fine for me to, first of all, it's fine. I think, as we were saying, we are not broken. It's fine for us to process it in whatever way it comes up. But for me, I can feel that sadness, but if as a result of that sadness, I decide to stay in my bed and not do anything and not pay any, forget that I'm a mom and I have children's running around everywhere, and not decide not to do life anymore, that for me, that result of that sadness is not something that I want to participate in my life. And so is it in fact that we want to, do you think we need to erase the emotion or be aware of the consequences of that emotion or the reaction based on that emotion?
That's a really it's a deep question, really. And there's many ways that can be communicated, right? Because everybody has a perspective of that question. Basically, the one thing that I would mention or say is that every time that let's not use that example, for instance. Let's use some, like a trauma, like a woman got molested, for instance. Okay. So that emotion that occurred with that woman, essentially what we want to do is we want to determine that, let's just say it's 20 years down the road, as soon as something gets triggered in her, she is back at that place that she was with that emotion and that experience.
Right.
The question becomes, does that person really want to go back to that place? Because during that trauma, now it brings up all these emotions and all these mental and emotional and psychological dynamics that affect her decisions moving forward. Maybe in that moment, maybe it's indifferent. Maybe it affects a relationship that is the one person that she would love to be with, for instance, right? But because of that those circumstances, those emotions are now triggering in all these different components that are causing issues in that one relationship for no reason. So therefore, that also takes up our life. Every moment is our life, and we don't get that back. So does a person want to spend time going back to that one issue? And I'm not specifically referring to yours, Jessica. I'm just saying in general that they want to go back to that pattern or that habit or that thing that kept them at that particular place. Maybe it was, I was making $2,000. Now I'm making $50,000 a month. Do I want to go back to something that triggered me, that brings me back to the 2,000, because now there's a dynamic that's going on there, for example, or whatever that circumstance in life is around, right? And so the question becomes, where do you want to place your life, your existence? Is it where you're intending to become? Remember, we're mastering the inner game. And in order to master the inner game, how does that influence or affect or impact current and in the future? Who are you? What is your real intention about who you are? Is that something that you always want to remember? Do you always want to have those sad feelings, for example, every single year of your life? There's some amazing memories there, right, for you. So, maybe those are the things to focus on and to have a conscious awareness of, rather than feeling that place. And it's great that you choose to get up versus experience that being in bed, for instance, kind of experience, right? So we have the choice. Nobody chooses for us. Actually, we choose for ourselves. And this is part of mastering this inner game that this who we are, because it's far more fulfilling when we're living and seeing and being who we are in the world, and it's so enlivening and so inspiring and so rewarding in so many different areas of our lives. And my thought is that if that's the place that you want to be, then that's an every moment thing if you choose it.
Right. Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And I know that the next couple of weeks, we are going to be talking about mastering leadership, mastering relationships, and then finally finishing up with mastering sales. What do we need to know about mastering your inner game? Is there any final thoughts that you have as we embark on this journey of the different layers of mastering?
I would say the conversations we're going to have in the future are similar to what we have now, except for there's one key element that to me is one of the most important pieces to it, and that is understanding others, really intending to understand others in a way, in almost in a way where, for example, this is you and this is me, and I'm wanting to know who you are in the same moment in which I am being. So in other words, if I'm there present with you, I want to almost put myself in your place to understand where you're coming from, how you're seeing things, why you're seeing it that way, and so forth. And I believe that that is one of the key components to understanding ourselves. And one of the things I'll say on that is oftentimes when we go to the mall and we're people watching, for example, right? What's really going on is we might be paying attention to someone's clothes, their hair, or something of that nature, but really what's happening, because our eyes are the windows to the soul, is we're seeing through that person to understand ourselves.
Yes.
Seeing through that person to understand ourselves better, because essentially we're all interconnected. Mm-hmm. And the more that we're willing, not able, we're all able, the more we're willing to understand ourselves, the better we're able to understand others.
Mm. Very true. Very true. I'm so excited about this series, and I had written down a question, but I'm going to save it for our week 3 when we're talking about relationships, because I think it'll tie really well into that. So let me know if you guys have any questions that you're watching that we can tie into any of those topics in the coming weeks, whether it is leadership, relationships, or sales, or just mastering your inner game, period. We would love to take your questions throughout the next few weeks. I am excited about having you here every Thursday in May, Kenneth, at the crack of dawn on the West Coast.
Yes.
It's going to be amazing, and we will have the coffee on tap for you, sir.
Great.
Listen, you guys, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to come right back. We're going to let you know where to find Kenneth. We're going to do our birthdays for the day. And on the way back in, you are going to hear from Susanna Dominguez, who is my guest on the Breakthrough Show tomorrow. She will be reading the Spanish version of the For Love poem by Dorothy Auger, and we'll be right back after this.
Imagine a world where every child gets a great education. Educating all children is the only way to end poverty. This is what the Weiss Scholarship Foundation is working to accomplish. Our 6 staff members, our mentors and coordinators, who are on the ground in Kenya, are totally engaged in every aspect of our students' lives, so we can give them every opportunity for success. In just a few short years, we have already awarded 141 scholarships. We send children to high school who would have never gone without our support. And then we help them go on to either university or vocational school. We have already scaled our holistic business model to 4 locations and are ready to scale it to many more. Today it's Kenya, but tomorrow it's more countries. Please contribute what you can today. You can make a one-time donation, a recurring donation, or choose to sponsor a child all on your own for all 4 years of high school for just $3,500. Go to our website, www.weissscholarshipfoundation.org.
Escogeré al amor, incluso con el alma quebrada, incluso con el corazón acongojado. Escogeré al amor porque el mundo está herido, no solo mi pedacito de tierra, donde estoy casi siempre segura, donde estoy casi siempre bien, sino en nuestro mundo, en todos lados, todos los días. Escogeré al amor porque necesitamos más luz, no más muertes, no más poder, no más bombas. Escogeré al amor para que nuestros niños estén seguros, para que nuestros amigos estén protegidos, para que nuestras fronteras estén abiertas. Escogeré al amor incluso con el alma quebrada, incluso con el corazón acongojado.
Welcome back to Project Joy Live. That was Susanna Dominguez reading our For Love poem by our good friend Dorothy Auger, and I encourage you to visit weshallstandforlove.world to see all of the versions of the For Love poem. And thank you, Juju and Brittany, for standing for love with us here this morning. So Kenneth, I took so many notes in our first segment, and I'm really excited to dive in the next few weeks. I know we want everybody to go visit you online, which you can find information at kennethlord.info. Where else can they find you, Kenneth, and what can they find on your website?
Well, LinkedIn is pretty popular, and yeah, there's in terms of finding things about me, those are a couple places to find information. Yeah, I mean, there's other types of services and so forth that we offer, but those would be great resources.
Amazing, amazing. And I have to say this. So our first guest that we had on Monday was Shifra Malka, and her topic she's talking about this month is mattering. And
Nice.
I find it so ironic that we're wrapping this back around. At the top of your website, it says "You matter."
You matter, yeah.
You matter.
Yeah,
I love that.
And it's because, pardon me, it's because of what we've been talking about, which is most people don't realize. And when I was writing that out, just as a short note, I kept thinking about people who didn't really realize that they mattered to others. And it's so important that if other people, something to think about, if other people matter to you, then it makes perfect sense for you to matter to them. Wouldn't it be reasonable to think that you also matter to them? And this is really an important piece to understanding who we are, because it's just a deep thought about that we matter to other people. And if you go into work environments, recognition is the most important piece of it. A lot of times we want other people to get us or understand where we're coming from. And most people will say, yeah, I don't really know of too many people who really understand me or get me, kind of thing. Right?
Yeah.
And I love that mattering. It's great.
Yeah, I want to dive in. I want to dive into a little bit of that specifically during our leadership week, because I think that the idea of mattering and recognition and purpose and all of that, it can be a challenge when you're an entrepreneur and you work by yourself and no one's patting your own back except you.
Yeah.
We might get a testimonial or something like that, which is wonderful, and I love to receive those, but it's not, we don't have like a tiered, some kind of recognition system set up like you would if you were working in an office.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, one of the cool things that we do, or that I do, is I have this whole conversation about when I'm working with someone, and it's all about, I help you, I walk with you. I walk with you. And I feel like that's an important piece to entrepreneurs, is because what you just said, which is we really want somebody to walk with us on our journey, in what we're doing, our vision, our intentions, and so forth.
Right. Absolutely. Well, speaking of, walking with us, I want to invite you guys and remind you to join our Discord server to chat with other fans, meet past guests of the show, and hosts from the Breakthrough Show Network. Just go to bit.ly/Discord Breakthrough. And we would love to have you there. We have fun questions of the day. We get to know each other. And you can also learn about supporting our network there, which we love and appreciate our supporters. We've been doing work sessions because entrepreneurs, we don't have a water cooler or a break room or anything like that. So we've been doing fun work sessions and also game nights. We've had a lot of fun really getting to know each other in there. So I invite you to join us. Again, that's bit.ly/Discord Breakthrough. Kenneth, at the end of our show, we like to celebrate birthdays. And because we love that everybody has a reason for being on this planet.
Yes.
And do you know anybody that has a birthday today?
No.
Nobody? No. Okay. So,
not right now.
we have, in the celebrity world, it is Chris Brown's birthday, singer Chris Brown. It is also Adele's birthday today. For those of you that I know, we have a lot of Adele fans out there. And you might know her from Boy Meets World back in the day on the Disney Channel, but then she was on Girl Meets World, which I don't want to talk about. Danielle Fishel, actress Danielle Fishel, she has a birthday today as well. And philosopher Karl Marx has a birthday today. And I love a lot of the quotes I was looking up, and I love this one in particular. He said, "Follow your own path, no matter what people say." I love that quote.
So great.
Love that quote. So happy birthday, Karl Marx. And obviously he hasn't been with us for a very long time, but we wish him happy birthday anyway. Also, a friend of mine from back in school days, Katie Casagrande's birthday is today. Happy birthday, Katie. And also Breakthrough alumni and friend of mine, website extraordinaire, Greg McKinnon has a birthday today, but he is sleeping because he's also on the West Coast and never watches the show. I love you so much, Greg. And so happy birthday, Greg. So those are our birthdays today. Let me know if anybody else has a birthday we're celebrating today. And we are going to sing. Are you going to sing with me, Kenneth?
No. Go ahead, though.
Here we go. Drum roll. All right. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Chris Brown, Adele, Daniel Fishel, Karl Marx, Greg McKinnon, and Katie Casagrande. Happy birthday to you.
Wow, that was great. Good
Thank
job.
you.
Yeah,
I didn't
amazing.
run out of air today. It's a
job.
good day.
What a great voice.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Appreciate it. Kenneth, it's been wonderful having you here with us this morning. And absolutely. And I hope that you guys that have been tuning in for our series this week have been seeing how all of these different things, from mattering to empowerment to knowing the myths that we have in our lives and how to dislodge them, all the way to self-mastering your inner game and leadership and authenticity, and all of these themes that we've talked about this week can help you bring more joy into your life. Join us tomorrow for Fun Friday. We are going to be doing something amazing in honor of my brother for his 37th birthday. I'm telling you, send the good vibes, because we're going to be out on the town tomorrow morning, and I don't know how that's going to go. We're going to find out. It may be, at minimum, I will come on and have a good laugh with you guys after it's done. So I hope you'll participate with us. And also coming up this afternoon, Karen Timer will be on at 12 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Eastern time. And her guest is Brenda Edelman, and she'll be talking about the importance of storytelling. You guys know I love that story and that theme. And so really excited to tune in for that with Karen this afternoon. Thank you again, Kenneth, for being here today. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, it's an honor. You have such a it's beautiful. I love the show. I love what you're doing, Jessica. Keep it up. It's so important what you're doing, actually. And just know this, that everyone who watches your show, everybody who is participating in these shows that you do matter. It really does matter to other people. You know, you're bringing light to them. You're bringing information to them. You're bringing influence to them. You're bringing something internally to them that they may not have received otherwise. So you really are doing a great job. I'm grateful to be here. Thank you so much. And it's an honor. And so, yeah, I'm excited about the next few times.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kenneth. I really appreciate that. Then I didn't have to pat myself on the back today. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching or listening wherever you are today. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and I want to remind you to make joy a priority in your life today and every day. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
You've been tuned in to Project Joy Live with Jessica Dugas, your weekday morning talk show, inviting you to start your day with a triple shot of good vibes only on the Breakthrough Show Network. Binge all past episodes of Project Joy at projectjoypodcast.com. Until next time, help us spread the joy by sharing this episode, and we'll see you soon.